That eerie play repeated every night always begins at the most vulnerable spot. The moment a stranger's blade pierces deep into the abdomen, we instinctively prepare a scream. Yet, strangely, no voice breaks through, and the expected agony of tearing flesh never arrives. Where the blade entered and exited, there is no crimson blood, only a hollow, silent void. This absence of blood is not the relief of life preserved. It is the chilling evidence that one has already lost the capacity to feel as a living being. This dream is not merely a nightmare. It is the manifestation of a powerful defense mechanism known as emotional dissociation. When the weight of reality exceeds the limit one can endure, the brain shuts off the emotional switch for self-protection. Like a soldier losing hearing to the roar of artillery, the soul numbs itself to survive the storm, leaving only the traces of the event without the pain. Within this numbing void, lucid, dreaming often emerges as the final vestige of sovereignty. The moment we realize it is a dream, we transform from victim to executioner. Because there is no pain. We become bolder because there is no blood. We become colder. The act of struggling against an assailant or dragging them away is a desperate attempt to reclaim the control lost in the waking world. We become bold because the real version of ourselves is too polite, too responsible, and trapped by the eyes of others. This dream state violence is not malice, but a primal struggle to rip off an invisible straitjacket. Even great figures like Marcus Aurelius maintained a stoic detachment to endure endless wars and plagues, building internal walls so high that the outside world could no longer wound them. Michelangelo, too, found that in the heat of creation, physical pain vanished as he carved away at stone to master the figures that haunted his dreams. These acts of intense control are not mere aggression. They are the screams of a soul trying to survive in a bloodless battlefield. Dreams change their stage to ask us the same question. Yesterday it was a forest. Today, a familiar street. Yesterday it was a faceless shadow. Today, a known face. Yet the cold blade and the bloodless wound remain. This unchanging core is a signal that the conflict is not external. It is not about where we are or who we are with, but about a conflict within that blooms like a poisonous mushroom regardless of the setting. The deeper the isolation, the more we focus on the mechanical goals of survival and elimination within the dream. To be wounded without pain is a state where the soul's sensors have been burned away by the sheer intensity of reality's pressure. Many people wish they could feel nothing at all, but when that wish is granted in a dream, they realize that a lack of pain is the most profound form of horror. Winston Churchill, who led a world through war, while fighting his own black dog of depression, knew this weight well. To command a nation's destiny, he suppressed his own emotions, moving with a cold decisiveness that mirrors the dreamer who strikes without hesitation. But this power comes with a price. Striking down an enemy who does not bleed is a battle against a shadow. It never truly ends. We believe we are dominating the battlefield, but in truth, we are prisoners of it. The bold control we feel in the dream is often just a mask for the helplessness we feel in reality. No matter how many times the scene changes, the play will not end until the tired mind behind the script is addressed. The only way to end this cycle is, paradoxically, to loosen the grip on the sword. We must ask why our wounds do not bleed, and why we have alienated ourselves to the point of not feeling pain. In that silent void left by the blade, we find the hunger. We've ignored the need for recognition and the trace of a self that was never protected. True transformation begins when we stop running from the pain and stop trying to dominate the dream. Frida Kahlo lived through immense physical and emotional betrayal. Yet she chose to paint her bleeding heart and broken spine with brutal honesty. She did not hide behind numbness. She stared at her pain until it became her language. Her courage was not in defeating an enemy, but in the honesty of her vulnerability. We must convince ourselves that we are safe even without absolute control. The dream is not a tormentor, it is a messenger knocking on our door every night, telling us it is okay to let go of the heavy burden of responsibility. When we trade the armor of numbness for the raw air of reality, the blood of life begins to flow again. The key is not in the blade that strikes, but in the skin that receives. When we stop treating ourselves so harshly, the battlefield transforms into a place of rest. The final curtain falls when we realize that victory is not about conquering others, but about surrendering the compulsion to win. The hollow in the gut is no longer a wound of shame, but a passage for new breath. Viktor Frankl, who survived the abyss of the concentration camps, taught us that the ultimate freedom is the ability to choose one's attitude in any circumstance. To strike without feeling is to lose that freedom. When we redefine our wounds as medals of endurance, rather than marks of weakness, light enters the void. Meaning is more powerful than control, because while control suppresses, meaning embraces, healing is not about becoming a superhuman who never hurts. It is about allowing the wound to become a scar. A scar is a record of the past that can no longer harm you. The violent energy of the dream was always a distorted form of your own powerful life force. When you turn that energy from a sword into a tool for rebuilding your daily life, the story finally finds its resolution. You no longer fear the blade, because you understand it cannot touch the essence of who you are. Wake up, breathe the warmth of reality, and choose the courage to be imperfect. That is the invitation your dreams have been trying to deliver all along. The tears that break the silence of the night are the surest sign that life is finally flowing through you once more.